Hey everybody, thanks for coming to Freedom's Edge YouTube. This is a closing review of the US futures trading session. Today is June 5th. So thanks for stopping by. This is just going to be a quick review of what happened in the futures markets today. The platform that we're looking at is Tradovate, and we have the Nasdaq pulled up here on a 5-minute chart. Let's go ahead and start here. Very bullish day for the Nasdaq. Right now up about 345 points. So clearly, looking at today, which started, if we go all the way back to last night, started over here and boom. So this is bullish. We can pull up a daily chart and see where we're at on the daily. You know, when we had some news come out earlier, what was that? Well, last week we had a nice push down, and we see this huge wick on this candle. Came down and all the way back to the upside, and we never really looked back. We just kind of have been moving straight up from there. And yes, this is very bullish. What I did here on the daily chart is I took the fibs and I put them towards the bottom of this candle here from the 31st of May, and I drew it all the way up here to the highs of today, just to kind of see where those fib levels are. Now, of course, we have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. But I have been looking on the daily Nasdaq chart to see what happens the day after or few days after we get a new all-time high. So here's an example of one right here, right? I'm just looking, kind of going back into this area or to earlier this year. We had a double top here, but I'm looking at this right here. So this is pretty darn close to an all-time high. The day after this candle from May 15th, the next out from 694 to 760, so 70, 80 points or so, but we closed the day lower than where we opened, which is pretty interesting. And then the same thing the next day, we retrace to the upside a little bit here, but then we close lower, and then we make the next leg higher. So tomorrow, one idea for the NASDAQ, tomorrow's Thursday, one idea for the NASDAQ tomorrow, and just an idea here, everybody, to be clear. This is not advice. I'm not predicting the future in any way, shape, or form. But tomorrow we could potentially move up even further and then finish the day lower. Or maybe we move up further and then we retrace, but we still finish higher. But long story short here, after a day like today, we're up 345 points right now. After a day like today, it would, because we made all-time highs today, tomorrow I'm looking for a smaller range. I'll put it that way. A smaller range. I'm not going to predict how far to the upside we go. I'm not going to predict how, any retracement amount, but this level here is interesting to me now, this Fibonacci level, 18,742. But I'll have to replace the fibs tomorrow depending on how high we go. So anyways, NASDAQ, I'll drop back down into the 5-minute chart. Really bullish day today. And our economic news for the week has been rolling out. It's generally been mixed news. That's the NASDAQ. One other thing too I want to point out from this morning. This morning we had news that came out at 9 a.m. Central. And when that happened, we had this fluctuation and volatility, this candle right here with this huge wick. It's really interesting to me when I see things like this. By the way, just so you know what you're looking at on my chart, here's what I have on the chart. I have all of these moving averages on the charts, and I even have Bollinger Bands up, which I don't look at all the time. I'm going to go ahead and take those off. And let's go ahead and and just leave on these other moving averages. So I have the 200 moving average, which is this blue line here, the 200-day simple moving average. The 50-day simple moving average is our red line here. I've got a VWAP, and I've got the 21 daily moving average. It's the dashed green line, and the 8 daily simple moving average, which is our dashed blue line. Generally, I keep all of these up. Sometimes I'll remove the 50 and the 200 and even the VWAP, but generally I'm leaving these moving averages on my charts. What's interesting to me, going all the way to even early morning, right? We're moving up, and these moving averages on a 5-minute chart on the Nasdaq, when there is, what I have found, when the charts have good structure, the moving averages work. Price moves towards and away from the moving averages. So sticking on the Nasdaq here, this is yesterday. We have a nice move up, and then in the afternoon we come down and we touch the 50-day simple moving average, we bounce out. We touch the 50-day and we bounce out. Then we stay above it for a while. We touch it again, bounce out, okay? And then we move below. And when we did move below it, significantly like this, we kept going. We kept going. And then what do we get close to here? Here we get close to the 200-day simple moving average on a 5-minute chart. And we bounce out. And then the 50-day continues to act as support until this morning, 9 a.m. We have news come out, high volatility, 5 minutes here. We break down, we hit VWAP and the 50-day, we bounce up, retracement, and then we're off to the races for the rest of the day. There we go, we're off to the races. So just interesting to me how these moving averages work. They act as support and resistance often, like in this case here. When we do see this and we have a bullish structure, this is quite dependable. We could take a trade off this. Okay, so the idea here would have been after the news comes out, we have the volatility. Make this bigger, sorry everybody. News comes out, we have volatility in this area. Well, if we've been very bullish and the broader market is bullish and moving to the upside, well then we can take a trade off this. After we see this, right? We can wait for this next candle or two to close. And once we see something like this, what I like to see is we have this low in the candle. Well, we bounced right off VWAP. Well, that's really interesting. We're bullish from last night into this morning. Okay. The third thing would be we have a retracement and then a higher low here, if you can see that. So this candle, its low is higher than this previous candle, and another lower low. Now these are 5-minute candles. So from this candle, you're waiting 5, 10, 15 minutes to see these lower low, to see two lower or higher lows be established. Depending on your risk tolerance and your style of trading, you can take a trade off this. When you see this higher low, you can go long. Stops below this candle. Okay, so you go long at 815, stops at 800, 15 points. 15 points of risk, and you catch this move right here, right? Or you could stay in for the whole day, whatever. Now, while this is live price action, this pullback happened right here. At the end of the day, it's 250, 10 minutes left in the trading session. So opening up a daily chart, What are the chances that we close the day at the all-time highs for the day? In my opinion, they're low. So I do think that we end the day with some type of wick towards the top. It's just rare that we end the day with no wick at the top of the candle. I know, very in-depth analysis, right? But looking at all these candles, let's just take from here to here. Wick, 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 no wick. Wick, 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 wick. What's going to happen today? We'll see. But you see, candles close with a wick at the top. So let's see what happens. This is awesome to watch because we are at all-time highs. So we'll see. It could be like watching paint dry for the last 10 minutes of the day here, or not. Let's go and move to the S&Ps right here. This is a daily chart of the S&Ps. We can drop down into a 5-minute chart and see how today went. Similar to the Nasdaq, right? Here's our economic news that came out, volatility, and then we're off to the races to the upside for the remainder of the day. 5-minute, blue line, 200-day moving average. As soon as we start pushing above this, we can go long here. We could take a trade. We could have taken a trade off this move based on the moving averages. And then over here, we have the YM. YM, I took several trades in today, and based on a few things here. The first thing that I based this off of, so I went long in this area here, and I saw a few things. Number one, I saw a trend line, so which is this big old line here. We got a trend line, so 1, 2, 3 touches. You know, we went below here, but this is an area, right? It's not a perfect, trend lines are not perfect lines ever. It's an area. Touch the area 1, 2, 3, 4 times. This is again where that economic news came into play. The S&Ps and the Nasdaq were bullish on the day. So my idea was, and yes, this is a My Funded Futures account for everyone to see. There's the account right there. My idea was that we come in, we bounce out of this area. Okay, this is an hourly chart, so there's that trend line. If we go higher, to a daily, moving on to the upside on the daily chart, and then 30-minute chart. There's something specific I'm looking for. Give me just 1 second here. Okay, so yeah, so this is it. I need to hide my drawings here. Okay, so YM, I was looking for this hourly chart. As I analyze the market, I look oftentimes from the top down, so higher time frames, and then we drill down into lower time frames. On the YM, I saw this move coming to the downside this morning, and with the Nasdaq and the ES and even gold be very bullish right now, I thought that it was interesting that the Dow was moving to the downside. And so I looked for an area where we could bounce in the Dow, and I saw on the hourly chart the 50-day moving average, which is this red line. And so my idea was we're coming down, and I thought, well, maybe we bounce off the 50-day simple moving average and then move up. Well, at 9 o'clock, we had economic news, and we ripped to the downside. We went way further than I thought we would. I was actually positioned long right before that news. I should have waited, but I was positioned long, and my stop was hit and I got taken out. But then we pushed right back up immediately and we closed above this moving average. And so this is a trade that we can take. We can go long here. And especially when the Nasdaq and the S&Ps act in a similar fashion, meaning big downside move and then huge wick on this on the candle after that economic news came out. Well, we can trade off this. And so here I did have a long position here and the trade worked out nicely to the upside. But it was all based on this moving average. We ripped below it, closed above it, and then we immediately started making our way to the upside. And if we drop down into a 5-minute chart, this is where that move happened. So we ripped to the downside, and then this is the next 5-minute candle, right? So higher high, close here, next candle, we immediately start moving to the upside. And with the other indices being bullish on the day, that we went long and it worked out nicely. So that is the Dow. We can take a look at gold. Here's a 5-minute on gold. And yeah, like all of these lines, let me just hide my drawings for now. So on the gold chart here, we have an 8-day moving average and a 21-day moving average. Gold had a nice day. This is a 4-hour chart, so here we go. Gold is in a range, but here we see this last move to the downside, a lower high than this low. That is promising. And then we continue straight up to the upside. So gold had a nice day. I think it, we had a long position in gold with the idea that we would push up from 60 to 70, and we did. We did. So gold, it looks like it wants to continue its upward movement. And so the next level we look at in gold is 2380 area to the upside. Could also see gold do something like this, like after this move, we move sideways, down, and then back up. So maybe we have something like, the other prior moves, right? Again, just ideas. So gold, move down, move up, sideways, little move up here, but then back down, up, sideways, down, up, sideways, maybe, down, potentially. We shall see. So I hope this was helpful in some way, shape, or form for some of you that took the time to watch and listen today. I would love your feedback, comments, anything that you want to share about this video, anything else that you would like me to cover, other markets, whatever it might be. Appreciate you watching, and I hope you tune in again next time.